I know, it's not easy. Stress is addictive. And although the hormones of stress, like cortisol, do have a critical function to our survival, like letting us know when we're in danger or giving us energy to tackle that never-ending to-do list, it's also important that we replace the rush of cortisol with regenerative practices that can help us to stay calm and well. Being an adrenaline junkie, I was looking for more balance. I've been practicing yoga, which helps, and I make it a habit to meditate, but was curious of some other methods. Laurie Azzarella is a practicing reflexologist and massage therapist in Daphne, Alabama, and I spoke with her about how our feet reflect the inner workings of our entire body. Get ready to heal the soul from your soul. This is Living It Up with Lenise. Reflexology has been practiced across cultures for centuries, and Laurie is quick to tell you that it's the best anyone can do for themselves. I absolutely was not looking for a reflexologist, though, when Laurie's name was mentioned. I asked a friend about an acupuncture specialist. She instead referred me to Laurie. I'm really excited to talk about this topic, so thank you.
Well, and I'm so grateful to Barbara for sharing and for recommending me. So thank you. I thanked her once already, but I thought, oh, how nice. Thank you so much.
In looking up acupuncture and reflexology, there are some similarities in that they're both about using pressure points. Acupuncture, just think needles to puncture the skin, whereas reflexology is all about the feet, even ears and hands. So I'm curious, Laurie, how did you fall into this field?
Well, I have alopecia. I lost my hair when I was 7 years old. Now, back then, we didn't realize what autoimmune diseases were. Okay. So back then, they had no clue how to treat anything. So I totally gave up on doctors by the age of 13, because I figured, well, they're poking and prodding. They couldn't find out what caused my situation. How were they going to fix it? And today I know a lot of people struggle with that. We're getting new names for different autoimmune disorders. Anyway, what happened was, my quest was, as I went through life, I studied a lot. I studied nutrition. I studied herbs. I studied body chemistry. I did a lot on my own. I ate well. I did this. I did that. I went to a massage therapist who actually knew reflexology. Now, to my colleagues who are massage therapists, I apologize, but a lot of you don't know reflexology. They don't. They're because I've taught at 6 massage schools in the area down here, plus up in New York, and they get a basic 4-hour minimum of what reflexology is, and they have no clue. And they think, look at the chart, press here, poke here, and it's done. It's very far from the truth. True reflexology, when this massage therapist worked on my feet, I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Ow, ooh, what is that? Ow, ooh. And so she totally took and explained to me how the feet reflect all the inner organs and workings of your body. And for me, it was the very first time, and that was probably in my 40s then, it was the first time that I felt validated, that I knew something was going on inside my body, but no test, no doctor, no medicine, no nothing could pinpoint it, you see? So that really stuck with me. Now, the difference to me between reflexology, and I'm talking, I was trained in Ingham reflexology, and I teach now, I've been doing it for 30 years, but I teach what I call therapeutic reflexology or reflexology. That's really what I do, which are different things. But it's more like if you've gone to a massage therapist for a Swedish relaxing massage and stress reduction, and that's wonderful. And then if you have an issue in your body, you go to a deep tissue or a specialized massage therapist. So unfortunately, there aren't very many therapeutic reflexologists out there. So a therapeutic reflexologist, the difference between that and acupressure or acupuncture, They're both energy modalities. They both work to balance your body. But to me, with reflexology, what makes it so potent for me and fun working with my clients is because they become involved. They can feel, okay? They're like, here's your liver. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Well, then I ask a lot of questions. What are you doing? How's your energy level? Do you get up refreshed in the morning? Do you have to set the snooze alarm? Are you taking medications? What kind of work environment? And so your liver has to detoxify all this. Oh, you see, now they're engaged. Now the difference is they begin to understand what I do makes it my inner organs respond to. And I think that's the difference. So acupuncture to me is a very passive therapy. The way I do, and reflexology can be, believe me, I've been there. But the way I do reflexology or reflexology, because that's what I've created that and the founder of reflexology and teach that.
And both modalities have their origins in traditional Chinese medicine, and not to put one against the other here, because both are said to provide a variety of therapeutic benefits, like helping to balance your body by releasing that blocked energy. Reflexology can have this wonderfully relaxing effect, I'm told. It just enhances overall relaxation. It's been known to open neural pathways and creating this state of calm throughout the mind and the body. I compare it to getting a foot massage. I mean, we all know how relaxing that is. And I'm well aware that reflexology provides more benefits than a traditional foot rub. It really is all about where the reflexologist applies the pressure.
It is engaging the receiver and be self-empowering them.
So I have read all kinds of benefits of using oils, both topically and also taking them, and also about reflexology. So you have married the two together. What are the benefits?
Well, when I started, I've been doing reflexology for a long time in the 1990s. But so what I found as my journey as a therapist continued, and I was working every single day, probably 4, 5, 6 pairs of feet a day. So I saw a lot of people with a lot of conditions. And what I found going into the future, looking back, people were becoming much more toxic. I could not release. If a reflex is tender, I call it congested. Now, in reflexology or reflexology, what happens is your liver, for example, we're talking liver, but it can be a physical aspect where it is maybe toxic. Maybe there's no blood supply to it. Maybe there's an old injury to it. Maybe there's scar tissue. Maybe there's misalignment of the nervous system, the spine, to innervate it. Maybe it's an emotional issue. Okay, that has been agitated and stuck in that organ. So all of those with the oils, you see, when you combine reflexology with what I call premium life force essential oils, and we can talk about the difference of essential oils, but when you combine those two modalities, the oils help me to break through that congestion. It's amazing. I will have a reflex on the feet and my receiver will go, oh my gosh, that's tender. Okay, and then we talk about it a little bit. And if it doesn't dissolve, it doesn't move, if that blockage or that congestion doesn't dissipate, I will put an appropriate essential oil on that. And then I will try that reflex again. And most of the time, I would say 85, 90% of the time, it opens the reflex up.
Give me an example. How would this therapy be performed, or better yet, what could a person expect if they're at a session?
When people have to me, the way I teach my students, when they come in, you will fill out a brief health history. They will ask you, what's bothering you? Why are you here? What are your goals? What do you think reflexology is going to do for you? So with that, then the reflexologist or reflexologist will actually work on where that pathology or where that malady or that disorder is in the body systems. So a trained reflexologist will know all 11 body systems, every organ, every gland, what it produces, how it functions, the hormones involved, the nerve innervations, how it works with the rest of this body. So they know a lot, and they approach it from a holistic point of view that encompasses mind, body, and spirit totally. So it's not just a relaxation.
I find it also very fascinating. Each organ and gland has its own frequency, vibration, or energy flow. And reflexology, as you describe it, can improve deficiencies or congestions in the body. I know you've spoken about, how our bodies are depleted, accidents, traumas, viruses, and bacteria, how that can all lower our energy, but also environmental toxins too. You use the word disorder, and I think that is a great description when you're talking about treating what's wrong with your body, because ultimately that's what it's all about. Something is out of order.
And don't you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
and you go to the doctor and your blood work is okay. And they're like, well, maybe it's stress. Well, it probably is. I remember this was funny because all the doctors I went to growing up, of course, I don't have any hair on my head, right? And they would say to me, I remember they would say, well, it's all in your head. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's no hair on my head. It is in my head. What is it? and it is the brain. And that's the beauty. I teach reflexology of the nervous system. We can go, this is amazing. You can go through the toes into every lobe of the brain. Into if there's a hearing issue or a vision issue or memory issue, so we can go into the inner brain and work on the hypothalamus, the communication, the nervous system, the endocrine system.
It's all about something being out of order. And the thought is that different parts of our feet correlate with different organs and parts of the body. For example, pinching the tops of your toes, according to the Cleveland Health Clinic, that can help with sinuses, while applying pressure to the heel of your foot can bring relief from lower back pain and sciatic nerve pain, which can be debilitating.
I mean, it's amazing what we are learning and exploring, and intriguing to see the results through just simply working on the feet.
So I'm calling this episode "Healing the Body from the Soul," meaning the soul of your foot.
Thank you. Yes.
Because just in looking online, I found this map where it talks about what pressure points align with other, organs and parts of your body. I never knew that.
I think, Lenise, the more we, God created the body. So I marvel every day through my clients, through my work, through my education, how intriguing it is. And the body is so connected with everything. I mean, I could tell you story after story after story, how things just reveal, and your emotions are so connected to that. So I'm so glad you brought in the soul, because it's your emotions, it's your spirit. If people lose their spirit, if they lose that sense of, I am okay, I am taken care of, I am protected, I am guided, there is hope. That's a huge part of healing. And people try to do it by themselves. And life is meant to be in relationship with God, with everybody around you. So I love that you put the soul in there, because I see it as the soul. I work on people's souls, and it is humbling to me. It is precious, and it is extremely rewarding.
I can't imagine what a session would be like. I mean, when you are working through that congestion and you finally get that breakthrough, what is the reaction from the person?
Well, they're very amazed. They can come in, for example, with a frozen shoulder. My arm doesn't reach over my head. So we'll go to the feet, and even through the feet, I can work through the feet to balance inner muscles. I can work the pec minor. I can work the iliopsoas and their hips through the feet, and they will feel it on their feet. They will feel it. And then I'll put an essential oil on that's pertinent to that. And then I'll work it again. And they go, it's a little bit better. And then sometimes we have to do a little stretching or a little tugging or, moving so that their body adjusts and the energy moves. It's amazing where energy will get stuck in the body. And people now need so much hands-on work. They need it. They don't realize it, but their bodies are not used to all the electromagnetic frequencies of computers and cell phones and TVs. And we live in that digital world. And we are so stressed that we don't realize how stressed we are. We just keep going. And it's interesting. And then people say, well, I relax at night, but they're again plugged into the TV or their phone, or they're not really turning off. They're not walking out in nature. They're not getting their feet in the ground. They're not living in God's world. They're living in a man-made world. And so I have to try to bring them back and get their feet. Your feet are the foundation of your wellness. You have to connect to this earth. You can't just live in your head. You have to connect to the earth for that frequency to go through you correctly.
And so you say our feet are the foundations to wellness, your immune system, bacterial infections, hormonal imbalances, digestion, arthritis, pain, all of these can be improved with reflexology. And Laurie, I know that you also take it a step further on your website. You talk a lot about the use of therapeutic grade essential oils with reflexology, and you really put an emphasis on why the source of that oil matters.
But unfortunately, a lot of people will just go to Bed Bath & Beyond or Walmart or the health food store, which is where I started, and you pick up those oils. And I did not know this because I read a lot of aromatherapy books. I studied a lot. And every time, take lavender. Lavender is a very familiar oil. Well, lavender is the most adulterated oil. And what that means is it has synthetic chemicals in it to make it smell like lavender. So it is not from the plant source. God made the plants to be healing for the nations. And in each plant, when you think about this, think about a lavender plant. It has to protect the root system, has to have an immune system that protects it from all the mold and fungus and nematodes and all the little creatures underneath the ground. And then it has its branches above it, which get hit with bugs and high winds and droughts and rain and hail and all sorts of other things. And these plants can't move like we could. We could escape, right? We could change location. Plants can't. So the plant's immune system, which is in like our immune system, but the plant's immune system has to develop to deal with all those things and be able to reproduce itself over time, over centuries. And that's the difference when you are talking about an heirloom plant versus a hot box plant. When you go to, a nursery that is mass produced, those plants are hybrided to survive different situations. So I use this example in my classes a lot when I talk about quality of a premium life force essential oil. The difference has that oil coming from a pure hybrid, a pure heirloom plant that has survived millennia, to give us the same constituents, the same properties, the same healing benefits? Or has it been adulterated by man and hybrided? It's a difference between which do you think would have more life force, a watermelon with seeds in it or a seedless watermelon? Which can reproduce itself. So when plants stop reproducing themselves, their life force energy, their frequency decreases. And we're seeing that in our population. We're seeing a lot of infertilities because our life force is being lowered. So an essential oil like lavender, when I would go to the store and I cut my finger, and a paper cut for a reflexologist is a day off of work, so
Right.
so I would put that essential oil on and it would sting and it would burn. And I'm like, this is not what the book says. It didn't do anything. It made it worse. Get it off of here. Well, I didn't. And so I tried another brand and I tried another brand. I tried another brand. And until I finally found a brand that was made for therapeutic purposes. And that was Young Living. I was introduced to that by one of my clients. That whole that change, that company in 1980 something began, and it changed because of Gary Young. He did so much work and research and began to use essential oils in the healing process. Before that, aromatherapy was just that. It would make us smell good. So it was just affecting our moods, right? Like lavender relaxes us. Well, lavender also heals and creates, multiplies the epithelial tissue. So if your wound is not cleaned out, the cells will overgrow that. So you have to be careful about the oils that you're using and how you use them. And so a lot of the oils that are out there now, I would say 98% of them on the market are not for healing purposes. That's the first question I ask. What brand? Because they can actually, when they're putting the oils on the feet, they're directing that essential oil through the soul energetically into their organ and glands. So rather than helping that person detoxify, they're actually toxifying. So you have to be very careful what you put on the skin. And you have to be very aware of how the oils are being made. And I teach a lot of that in my classes, and not just to educate, not to promote, but just to educate people, because people need to understand not all essential oils are created equal.
How often should someone have reflexology or reflexology? Does it depend on what they're battling?
Yeah, absolutely. And how long they've had it. And so if you think of reflexology creating balance within the body, number one, it will reduce the stress and tension, but not just in the physical body. A lot of people will end up so relaxed and they feel like they're floating when they leave. Their feet are like dancing. But their inner bodies, their inner organs and glands kind of go, it's like, and that's what I'm looking for at the bottom of the table I'm working on. I'm at this end, I'm looking at the feet and I'm watching the feet so that they actually begin to release and change. They can change in front of my eyes. And so that's what we're looking for.
I read also where anyone thinking of trying reflexology, they really should speak to their healthcare provider first, especially if that person has circulatory problems, blood clots, thyroid issues. It seems like most appointments average 25 to 50 minutes with questions about the person's health, lifestyle, eating habits, and that's just so you know where to start working on their feet. And the sessions can vary, bi-weekly, monthly. What happens when a person's ticklish? My son, I took him to get a pedicure, and it was almost torturous for him because he could not stop jumping because he was just so tickled.
I love it. Remember how you used to get so tickled you'd start to cry?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, tickle is an interesting thing. Tickle is the body's way of protecting. It's a protection. And so I thought it was crazy. People's knees are ticklish,
Yes.
And you're like, why is that? Well, there's something there. To me, it's an energetic, there's congestion. So when I have a ticklish client, it's my pressure. So I have to actually increase my pressure that I'm working with. I work my thumbs and my fingers. And so sometimes maybe the pedicure, it's too light of a pressure. She's afraid she doesn't want to hurt him. So she's being gentle and it's too light.
My son is not going to be happy with me talking about his ticklishness. I thought it was hilarious though. So speaking of reactions. It is not a good idea to have a heavy meal or drink alcohol before you have a reflexology treatment. The bottom line is we are all looking to feel better. And in healthcare and reporting, I see a lot about the importance of prevention. It seems to be becoming more and more important as we begin to understand more about environmental factors and how that can affect our health, stress, fatigue, emotional issues. All of it takes a toll on the body's own ability to fight disease. And when the body is well balanced, well, it's in good shape to ward off illness.
Isn't that interesting? And so when something in their body hurts and they can't do what they want to do, they get mad at their body. Now, the body doesn't do that to you. The body's here to serve your purpose, right? And so it's very fascinating to me because I just look at the body as the communicator. It's sort of like, don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
The body is hurting or your feet. I love it when people's feet are hurting. I had one of my students in the class, we were working on this certain part of her foot, and she goes, "Oh, don't touch that." And I'm like, "Well, why?" And she goes, "Well, I had an operation there." And I go, "Okay, if there was a recent operation, I understand that. Okay. How long ago was it?" She goes, 17 years ago.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but it was so kind of cute to me. 17 years. I go, "Oh, wow." I said, "Do you walk on these feet? What have you been doing for 17 years?
It's got a hoverboard.
And she was like, "Well, yeah." And I'm like, "Well, now this is where my essential oils come in. This is where reflexology really, really helps. Because now I start, well, please tell me about the operation, and it goes through. Well, the end story is the doctor told her he was going to do such and such. And during the operation, he changed it and he did something different. She was angry. And that anger was locked in that tissue of her foot. So now I use an essential oil. It's called Release from Young Living, which I do a lot of that on the feet. And I have them breathe it in. And we just work through that. And lo and behold, now I can touch that spot. Now, when people's feet hurt like that, now hers was an operation on the foot. But if the foot hurts or a reflex won't let go, or they go, "Why do my feet hurt? Why?" I make such a light of it. I go, because you've worked through it. You've worked from your head. You thought about it. You processed it. Your body's digested. And now you're ready to kick it away out of the bottom of your feet. Let it go. We carry so much baggage, and the feet get tired of that.
Well, understandably.
Understandably, right?
Oh, man, this is such a wonderful conversation. I hate to bring it to a close. What do you think most people need to pay attention to when it comes to their feet, and also the importance of this therapy?
Well, number one, they should learn more about what their body is telling them. I think that's huge. Now, there are plenty of foot charts out there that they can find, and just don't think pressing on that point is going to fix things, because if the internet has taught us anything, the web, it is connected. And so the pain or your stomach ache or whatever is definitely related to something else. So a trained reflexologist or a reflexologist is so important because they follow that rabbit trail and they will find the cause of the issue, which is not always where the pain is. So that being said, at least look at if your feet are hurting you, or there's a sore spot, or the ball of my foot hurts. What's going on? Well, pay attention to that. The ball of the foot is your chest. It's your heart center. It's your upper back. It's the muscles. It's your lungs. So where is this? What's happening? If you're waking up at a certain time during the night, that's another clue that we use as reflexologists. There's so many clues that the body, it's trying to tell you something. And so they can, we have online classes at Reflex Oil, OGY, there are hyphens in between there, reflex-oil-ogy.com. And I make them, a lot of them very simple. I know a family, they'll just get a class and they'll all sit around the TV and they'll work on each other's feet. There's stuff for kids, how to work on babies who have colic, how to work for sore throats, how to work for the COVID, when people were sick with respiratory, what do you do? And how do you help yourselves with backaches? What do you do? And so there's many classes on there. And then of course there's longer classes if people have serious issues in a certain body system. And of course those are for professional workers as well as lay. I make the classes available for everyone, a 16-year-old, a physical therapist, a massage therapist, a mother of kids, a caregiver, everybody. That's our goal. We want to help people understand their bodies through the feet and be able not only just to understand, but to do something about it. And that's where your oils come in with the reflexes.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, has the alopecia gotten better for you since being involved in reflexology? And
it's very interesting. I'm so comfortable with my no hair. It's part of my, it's like, do I really want it? It's like, and everybody goes, no, I love you with no hair. And I go, I love me too. But what is interesting is, yes, I have been without hair totally. Universalis is what they call it, for about 50 years. And then now getting into this with the oils and changing, they'll go, oh my gosh, you got hair on your head. I call it angel hair. It is growing. Whether I have a full set of hair or not, I really don't care, because people need to understand their physical appearance isn't who they are. It's not who you are. It's your heart and your soul. That's who you are. It's how you relate, what you're doing here in this world and how you feel about yourself. And you need to love each other and we need to love ourselves.
That was very well said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do a lot of soul talk. This is my life. This is what I do. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful to God for the bodies that He has given us. Oh, just miraculous things that we can do with these bodies and how they work. And I'm grateful to be able to help people understand their bodies and be thankful for them as well.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your expertise with us.
Oh, Lenise, thank you so much.
Living It Up with Lenise has been a production of Fox 10 Podcasts and myself, Lenise Lagan, with the music provided by Kendall Faust. A special thanks to Laurie and taking time away to speak with us about the benefits of reflexology. Hopefully you can use this segment to reset your system and regain well-being. I thank you again for listening and for your support.